Welcome to Spiritual Insurgency. I'm Jason Lupo, sitting here with my co-host today, Jim Miller.
Hello, hello.
And today we're talking about Trump cutting all funding to PBS and NPR. A story that we talked about not too long ago, how we wanted to see it cut. Talked about how Doge had that in its purview, and now it looks like it's finally happening. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to this video from Lexington, Kentucky. Lexington 18, they're going to talk about how it might affect them, and then we're going to come back and tell them why we don't care.
This executive orders to come from the White House could impact the airwaves here in Kentucky.
The Trump administration is demanding a halt to all taxpayer funding for NPR and PBS, which could mean cuts for local public media. LEX 18's Andrew Lamparski stopped by one of the state's biggest organizations to hear why they say it could be devastating.
Inside Kentucky Educational Television is where hours of local programming are made.
All those programs that we feel like our viewers rely on.
And where Executive Director Shay Hopkins says decades of Kentucky history lives.
KET was created more than 60 years ago with the vision that every Kentuckian, no matter their location, no matter their circumstance, would have access to educational programs and services.
But its future is in limbo as a battle plays out in Washington, D.C. Last week, President Donald Trump signed an executive order demanding the Corporation for Public Broadcasting stop all funding possible to NPR and PBS, which he believes to be, quote, woke propaganda. The executive order reading in part, "What does matter is that neither entity presents a fair, accurate, or unbiased portrayal of current events to tax-paying citizens."
Do you agree with that?
You know, I don't really want to speak specifically to PBS or NPR. I just know at KET we strive every day to uphold the highest journalistic standards, to be unbiased, to be fair.
KET says 14% of its funding is from the federal government.
It frankly will be devastating to KET because we depend on it so much for our local productions.
The White House executive order could be facing a court battle, and Hopkins is asking viewers to contact their lawmakers.
We have a good relationship, we feel like, with our Kentucky delegation. We feel like they know KET and they value KET. But, you know, Washington, D.C. is a whole different world.
While it's operating as usual for now, the future of KET's airwaves is unclear. In Lexington, Andrew Lamparski, LEX 18 News.
There are definitely some upset people over the fact that they are pulling public funding for these national broadcasts and also state-funded public media. Looks like 14% of their budget is made up from this federal funding. I mean, it doesn't seem too difficult if your viewership appreciates what you're doing to make up the 14%. I mean, we see all the time small radio stations, small television stations without public funding survive off of listener support or off of the support of individuals. And that's becoming even more popular as we see the boom of Rumble and YouTube and people consuming their news media content over X and over social media, to the point where almost all of this publicly funded radio and publicly funded television almost seems like it has no place anymore in our society today.
Look, I don't know what they're missing in Kentucky. What is it, banjo lessons or something? Just get rid of this stuff. Who cares? I'm just funding a point, and it's 14%. The lady said, I feel, yada, yada, yada. Nobody cares about what you feel. What is actually being produced and happening is what's important. Are you actually doing something? Look, I feel tired. I feel hungry. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter what she feels.
I fed you a snack, Jim.
I did. I ate all your goldfish that I thought were cheesy goldfish, but they turned out being graham crackers, so it was that shock and awe where I was like, this does not taste like I expected. And then I was worried and read the container, and I was like, it's goldfish. I read it right. It's just graham cracker ones. But it's NPR and PBS. Look, they don't do anything unbiased. We've seen it. You know, what was it? Triceratops and dinosaurs and why they shouldn't be extinct or some goofball crap. You're like, what is this? What is this? Look, if you're going to have a public thing, look, let's not lie. Other countries too, right? other countries with anything government funded being fed through the thing is propaganda 99.99999% of the time. So it's garbage anyways. And if people care about it that much and the content's that good, I'm sure if there's that many banjo players in Kentucky missing their banjo lessons on PBS or on NPR on how to make a banjo from scratch, then they'll freaking fork up $1 or $2 each and go from there. I don't know what to say. What I do know, there's like Lexington's a pretty patriotic place from back in the Revolution, though. So kind of an interesting place to be talking about it so much with the thing. And
I'm looking at the executive order here, or at least the fact sheet from the White House, ending taxpayer subsidization of biased media. Today, President Donald J. Trump signed an executive order ending the taxpayer subsidization of national public radio and the public broadcasting service. NPR and PBS receive tens of millions of dollars in taxpayer funds each year, primarily from Corporation for Public Broadcasting. The order ceases federal funding to NPR and PBS to the maximum extent allowed by law. It also ceases indirect funding to PBS and NPR by prohibiting local public radio and television stations and any other recipient of CPB funds from using taxpayer dollars to support these organizations. So actually, it looks like there might be some falsehood in the statements that they're saying in Kentucky.
so it's like they're cutting funding. It sounds like they're cutting funding for weird organizations doing weird crap that are just getting free money to do weird crap.
Yeah, I mean, we read a lot of these last time, but let me just touch on a couple of them. So NPR has run stories defending looting, suggesting that crime fears are racist, and has described its diversity, equity, and inclusion practices as inseparable from its content. NPR refused to cover the Hunter Biden laptop story, insisted COVID-19 did not originate in a lab. NPR ran a Valentine's Day feature around queer animals. Research shows that congressional Republicans face 85% negative coverage compared to 54% positive coverage of congressional Democrats on PBS's flagship news program. Over a 6-month period, PBS NewsHour used versions of the term far right 162 times, but far left only 6 times. PBS produced a movie titled Real Boy, which celebrates a transgender teen's transition. I mean, you just go on and on. I mean, this is just absolutely absurd. I mean, if you want publicly funded television, it should be it should be like C-SPAN, man. Just show us what's going on in Congress.
Well, that, and then probably some small educational things for little kids, like, hey, this is the color green. Here's the number 1. Here's the letter A. Like some Sesame Street type stuff, or is that all crooked and weird and grossed out too now?
Well, it got crooked and weird. I mean, here's one right here.
So Anson's probably rolling over in his grave wanting to punch somebody. He's like, I'm going to turn you into a Muppet for ruining my stuff, you weirdos.
So PBS show Sesame Street partnered with CNN for a town hall aimed at presenting children with a one-sided narrative to address racism amid the Black Lives Matters riots.
Look, Dad, but what was all the extra stuff for Jim Henson's little Muppets and crap? I don't get it. This isn't my world. It's overworked. I'm overtaxed. This stuff is also goofy because there's a lot of stuff that gets so politicized that doesn't have anything to do with politics, and this is how people draw their lines for what political party they're going to be in. So it looks like if it's a bunch of propaganda crap, NPR and PBS have been very successful at just getting a bunch of people to go real left and wanting a bunch of lefty nonsensical stuff that's not even stuff to be politicized. Honestly, you're having anything to do with politics. It's just some weird thing to fish out votes that we're paying for. Man, Kentucky.
Can we talk for a second on the rhetoric that Trump uses, or that the White House uses under this administration?
Sure.
Safeguarding taxpayer dollars. President Trump is working to ensure taxpayer dollars are no longer wasted on progressive pet projects.
Progressive pet projects. I like that.
But rather to use to benefit hardworking Americans. I mean, I just love the rhetoric that comes out of this White House.
I'm going to say it makes me almost think of like my thing with the, what do I call it, politically profitable problems? Because why solve something when you can keep getting money and more laws and rules and political authority?
Yep.
So, no, I'm fine with this one. Honestly, this is a good one. I think it's fine. We pay for this. I mean, it's not like they're running it by us, aren't we? Wouldn't we, since we're paying for it, technically be the executive producers of all this crap?
I mean, just think about it, though. Like, in general, right, the government should be spending funds really only in a couple places, infrastructure and military. But
Infrastructure, security, and making sure to enforce your rights, your liberties, your freedoms, your sovereignty as a citizen.
correct.
That's it.
So, but if you're going to spend money outside of that realm, it should be used by majority of Americans. And I can promise you, if I were to go out on the street right now and ask 1,000 Americans if they ever listen to PBS or NPR, I bet I might find 5. And they're probably over the age of 60.
They don't even know what Netflix is.
I mean, I doubt.
Streaming? Yes, I've been down to the stream.
Hey, listen, my dad is 80. He loves Netflix. He loves all of his streaming
I'm not
stations.
gonna lie. When you started off with your whole thing with this, you're like, when I go down and out there onto the street, and I was like, nope, nobody's buying what you're offering or producing. Your prison pretty, but that's about as far as it goes.
I mean, I wonder if we can find, like, what is the viewership of.
Does it have the
Yes.
percentages of that and who watches and how much time? I mean, is this just background noise in doctors' offices now for, you go to the dentist, it's PBS playing in the background, like they're all pilled out and got injections and gassed out for the dentist?
I mean, this says each month more than 36 million people watch their local PBS station. More than 16 million viewers watch video on PBS's site and apps. 53 million fans enjoy PBS digital studios and other content on YouTube. Over the course of a year, 58% of all U.S. television households, more than 130 million people watch PBS via traditional television. I don't know as though that stat is accurate. I want to see, it says last updated February 2024. I mean, I don't know 58% of television households that tune into PBS at all.
Where's the Nielsen thing at where they send you the $5 to say if you do watch or don't do stuff? I don't know. What was the source of that? Was it them giving you the numbers? Was it PBS and NPR giving you the numbers?
Yeah, that was from PBR or PBS, but
Yeah, but that's like auditing yourself. You're like, yes, I did do a good job. It is great. Everything is fine here.
I mean, let's talk about the fact that the top cable network television ratings right now. The 5, Jesse Waters, the 5, Jesse Waters, the 5, Gutfield. Like,
I like Gutfield. That dude makes me laugh.
This is 100% Fox News right now, dominating television households.
Yeah, I'm just saying though. Have you ever seen some of Gutfield stuff? I don't get a chance to watch it a lot because I work a lot, and then my downtime is this. But still, his show's pretty funny. I have to say, his show's pretty funny. Who's that? Torrent? What's the big guy? Man, I can't remember.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Big wrestler guy.
Yeah, I can't think of his. What the heck's his name? It'll drive me nuts now. I can only look up so many things at once.
I know. You need to be faster on the computer there. Terrence? Is it Terrence?
I think sound right. I think you're right.
Is it? I don't know. I like him though too. Him and Greg Gutfield are cool. And then the cat girl, the glasses.
Yep. I don't watch much Fox News anymore, to be honest with you.
But the Gutfield thing, I'll see a clip or somebody will send me something, and it's pretty funny. And what was the thing with the fridge opening? Greg's leftovers, all the crap that they wrote and didn't use. And he's like, if you don't laugh, we're gonna put Joe Mackey in a wrapped in steaks into a rabid dog thing at the homeless dog shelter. You're like, what?
I just wonder, like, if you have that many Americans watching your program, like you have that much support from the American public, that they could probably find a way, especially with private donors, because the Dems could just go fund this themselves since they're supporting them.
Well, that's like the thing out here. Remember the library that closed down? Everybody wanted to fund the library, but the system was like, you guys can't fund the library out of your own pockets, out of the community. It's like, what? But there was so much just, no, don't let it close. Don't let the library and the community close. The community came together and was like, we will pay for it. And the reason it didn't stay open is because the establishment, the local government's like, you can't do that. And you're like, what? Everybody believed in enough to fork out of their pocket to want to donate their time and their money and their resources to keep a library open without any question either.
But that's why we should take all the taxpayer dollars that we're wasting on this crap, put it back in the private citizens' hands, and let things like the library or television or radio go back to being funded by private citizens, private organizations, private businesses. I mean, at the end of the day, the people in the local city that didn't want this library to shut down, Rock Rimmon Library, should have just said, you know what, screw it, leave, we'll go open up our own library.
Yeah, with blackjack. Like, it's just a thing with this stuff. Look, money's nothing more than a token for your time. And if the system's wasting your money, they don't value your time, which means they don't value, because time's the one thing that's definitively finite. We're all going to expire and run out of time eventually. We spend a lot of it making money. They take our money, and if they don't value the money they get from you and they waste it, then they don't value you, your time, and they're just wasting every bit of your time and what you are and what you stand for. We'll spend our money and our time better than any establishment, any government, any entity, any organization, especially government organizations. Heck, I got irritated yesterday. I had to make a right-hand turn with the truck and the trailer, and it was kind of tight. It was one of the little side streets. I had to go to a neighborhood, pick up a car, yada, yada, some side work to help out a friend. I turn into what I think is a turn lane into the next lane over. It's a damn bike lane bigger than the road lane. And I didn't even know, so I'm trying to get back over. Nobody let me back over. There's a stupid sign for road construction in the bike lane that's bigger than the road lane. Look, they're inefficient and just dumb, all right? I'm good. We'll spend it and do better, and we'll be more efficient and make something productive, entertaining. Because if we do make something that sucks, what are we going to do? Ah, crap, I better fix it or make it better. Nobody wants to watch Triceratops transing out with a freaking alligator going. That's why alligators didn't go extinct, because they were transing out with Triceratopses. This is a stupid world.
I think you got plenty of ideas up there. I think we could have created our own PBS just screwed upness.
This week on Jim is On, we'll be watching.
See, Jim, you can have your own show.
You want to be a citizen in America? You bring me 4 predators, and I tell you what, every 4th predator, we'll let another one of your family members become an American citizen after we vet you in. You can live at my house because I like you.
Well, there you have it. Join us every day for Spiritual Insurgency. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.
You want it better, be better.